Welcome to the Branding Room Only podcast, where we share career stories, strategies, and lessons learned on how industry leaders and influencers have built their personal brands. Now, let's get started with the show. Hi, everybody. It's Paula Edgar, host of Branding Room Only, and I'm so excited for this conversation. My guest today is Janinah Burnett. She is an internationally renowned Broadway and Metropolitan opera soprano. She's fantastic. Let me tell you a little bit more. She is an internationally renowned, versatile singing, actor, musician, writer, and educator who most recently was a part of the closing cast of Phantom of the Opera on Broadway, making appearances as Carlotta Giudicelli. I hope I did that right. Other Broadway performance credits include Mimi in Baz Luhrmann's La Bohème on Broadway, a principal artist at the Metropolitan Opera for 8 seasons. Janinah recently released the album Love Color of Your Butterfly for her record, Class Records, featuring her own innovative arrangements of opera, spirituals, jazz, and more, available everywhere. And for those of you who follow me on all platforms, you know that her song is the first song on our Joy mixtape for the year. So if you haven't heard it, you're definitely going to hear it now because we're going to share it again. Janinah, welcome to the Branding Room. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and talking to you.
Me too. I'm really excited for this conversation. All right. So I start off by asking everybody the same question. What does a personal brand mean to you? How would you define it?
It's so funny because I thought about it. I was like, what does it mean to have a brand? But when I think about a brand, I think about it meaning how the world sees you, what people think about when they see you, you know? And so in thinking about that, I think about what do I want that to be? I want it to be joy. I want it to be versatility. I want it to be virtuosity. There's certain words that come to mind when I think about my brand. But yes, I think that it means that it's what comes to front of mind when people think of you.
Love that. So you jumped into the second question, which is, what are 3 words or phrases that you would use to describe yourself? So I'll give you the opportunity right now in case they're the same or different. What are 3 words that you would use to describe you?
Definitely joyful, positive, and I would say exceptional.
Oh yes. I love that. Come through, exceptional. Yes. All right. Well, do you have a favorite quote or mantra?
I thought about this today and I was like, I wanted it to be this, but sometimes in the moment I just let the spirit move.
Yes.
And what's coming now is just keep doing it. And that was a quote that was given to me by the great singer Shirley Horn. And when I was younger and an aspiring singer and musician, she was performing at the Drew Jazz Festival. And I was, my job was to go get her food and to make sure that she was comfortable, as an artist. And so I asked her, I was nervous to ask, but I said, do you have any advice for an aspiring artist or an aspiring musician? And she said, just keep doing it. And at the time I was so like, she didn't care. She just said it flippantly. She wasn't invested in really helping me. And that quote, that single line of advice has been the line that has gotten me through this career.
Oh,
just
wow.
keep doing it. When you feel like when you're feeling bad, just keep doing it. When you get all the no's, just keep doing it. When you feeling good, keep doing it. When you think you've arrived, keep doing it. That was a powerful line. So I'd say that would be my quote.
It's simple, but very powerful and an excellent mantra, whether the day is going well or the day is not going well, it can lift you up. I love that. Yeah. Now, this song is going to be hard for you. This one, I'm going to ask you, what is your hype song? Every time I ask somebody who is an artist, they're like, why? I can't pick one song. But let me tell you about a hype song. This is when they're going to get full 100% Janinah. What's playing in your head? Or if you're having a bad day, what song do you use to pick yourself up? And it could be the same song or 2 different songs.
I thought about this one. So it is in the midst of sorrow, You can't see up when looking down. A brighter day tomorrow will bring. It's Optimistic by Sounds of Blackness.
I love it.
That song is, yes, it gets me together.
I love it. And I'm so happy that I didn't have to ask you to sing because I was like, I need her to sing something.
Yeah,
oh, that's wonderful. And it's such a great song. And it has long lasting,
yes.
like it will always make me feel good. I was just talking to somebody else today and they said As by Stevie Wonder. And I was like,
yes.
Like, oh my God. When you think about the song, even without hearing it play, makes you feel. So I love that. That's fantastic. The mixtape is going to be fire.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, tell me, where did you grow up and how did that shape your brand?
Oh, I'm from Los Angeles, California. I grew up on the West Side, and that has definitely shaped my brand and my life. My dad is a jazz musician, and my mother is an artist. She's a writer and worked in philanthropy. So we lived a very, I don't know, I want to say hippie-like life. I don't know if that's the adjective. But when I think about hippies, I think about freedom. I think about art. I think about community. I think about a number of things. And that's how my life was in Los Angeles. You know, we went to the beach and we listened to music and we had parties and the life, the feeling at that time in Los Angeles, there was a lot of levity, you know. And I was very fortunate to have been able to participate in that levity. You know what I mean? And what made it happy and light. But so I'm a California girl at heart. You know, I'm always going to think about those cool evenings and those palm trees swinging and the easygoing element of my childhood. So that definitely has contributed to my brand. I mean, I think when I think of, you know, how I appear to the world, I think there is that element of that ease and that coolness juxtaposed with that, you know, serious musician and, you know, the virtuosity and whatnot.
Oh, I love thinking about, you know, I'm from Brooklyn. And when I say that, people are like, there's no matter who it is, somebody has a feeling about what that means.
Right.
But really, my little piece of Brooklyn was very Caribbean, very family centric, and like right before middle class. So we still had to struggle, and that was like that community definitely shaped my resilience, my ability to navigate amongst a lot of different places, all of these things. And having lived in California as well in my lifetime, I noticed that we have, well, I'm going to tell the story about how we met, but we have a lot in common without even knowing. And I love the universe does this. So I went to Cal State Fullerton.
Oh, really? That is, oh my gosh, I have experiences with that. For sure. I did a jazz competition there in high school.
I know. I saw that. And I was like, look at the world, because we have of all the schools and all the places. I was like, look at that. And so that is a connection that we have. But I love thinking about the palm trees and seeing the mountains, and being on the West Coast has a very different vibe than what the East Coast does. That being said, I can't wait. I'm going to California next week, so I can't wait. I'm going to be in Los Angeles. I'll be there. I'm going to be there next week. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. So tell me what else. So did you live in California all your life until you went away to school?
I lived there until I went to college, I went to Spelman. And and then I knew, though, that I always wanted to end up in New York. For some reason, I just had this feeling in my heart. I was like, I'm going to end up in New York, and that's where I'm going to be for a large part of my life.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Spelman, because you are the 6th Spelman grad to be on my podcast. And as the audience knows, my daughter is at Spelman now. So the sisterhood is very important to me, because I'm looking forward to her being a part of it. And y'all are serious about your Spelman.
It's really true.
Talk to me about your experience at college and learning the sort of the stuff of art as opposed to being around art and the singing in the choir, et cetera. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, I loved Spelman. And on my journey, when I got there, I was not exactly sure how music would manifest in my life, but I knew that I wanted to do it as a profession. And I mean, that's one thing that I will say again about Los Angeles. I was raised in the community of musicians, so that I saw people living life as artists. So when I got there, I was like, jazz was the biggest genre that kind of reared me, I would say. I had dabbled into other things, and in high school was in choir and whatnot. And I said to myself that I didn't want to be limited. I wanted to be able to do everything with my voice. And so when I got to Spelman, I was like, oh, great. They have a jazz ensemble, the Glee Club. And so I just basically decided to partake of all that I could. And it was interesting because the year that I came in with a whole lot of sisters from DC that had gone to the Duke Ellington School of the Arts, and from other places around the country that had classical music as at its root. And they were so fabulous. And that inspired me, immensely. And I think, and it honestly inspired the school, because they were just like, oh my gosh, we have all of these singing people that are coming in, and this is about to be fierce, and what can we do to serve them, So it got, the year that I got there, they got in gear to kind of really, showcase and help these young people who were serious about, this art form. So I really enjoy it. The inspiration from my sisters, we would practice together. I would be like, show me how you do that. It's so much to be said, again, for like your peers and what you can learn from them. And I was in the jazz ensemble, which was a smaller ensemble than the Glee Club, because the Glee Club was huge, and it was so many people, but the jazz ensemble was smaller, and it was singers and instrumentalists. So we had a chance to kind of connect, with other instruments, and the impact that makes on us as a musician is very powerful, because you get to see how people interact with their instrument and how that allows the music to flow through them. It's different. So I learned a lot. I made amazing friends that I still have today, who have who still inspire my music, who I still collaborate with today.
Love that.
It was powerful. That Spelman experience was powerful in terms of my music making, and also the etiquette, I would say, of performance. I learned at Spelman. There was a when we would have to, we hated it. They were like, you can't wear no jewelry, just the jewelry. You have to wear these black dresses, and you can't have no this together. And we were just like, oh. But I see the value in that uniformity and in that poise and in that etiquette. And when I came out into the real, not the real world, because it's the real world too, but when I came out into the professional world, I saw how that made a difference, and how that set me apart from other things.
I love that you pull that out, right? Because a big part of branding is understanding like the baseline. My mother used to say, like, there's a certain way you walk out of the house. That's got to be a connection to what we expect, and that you're not going to embarrass us, and you're not going to embarrass yourself when you walk out of the house. And I love, I didn't go to the Twin HBCU, but I say I go there now because my daughter does. And I love the fact that there is ritual, and there's expectation, and that gel, that experience, it's sort of like the military, that you're doing the same things, you have the same experiences in order for you to, when you truly flourish on your own, you stand stronger because you understand what it's like to be in the rank and file, and then to emerge. So I'm glad you pulled that out. I love that.
And also, in that rank and file, but also know that it's connected to something, that a lineage that came before you. And that you are a part of that chain that is going to keep on going into the future. And what are you going to do to make sure that chain stays strong, And I didn't understand that as a young person. I was thinking about myself in college. I was like, man, we thought we were grown. We were like, oh, we are grown. I don't understand why they have to say stuff. We know.
That's right. That is every college student ever thinks that they know everything. I don't know listen, I'm way out of college, and I'm like, I have no idea what's happening. Please, somebody teach me your ways, because But humility is not of the youth, right? The youth is about being like, I'm free. I've got a little something going on. So let me try to see where I am in the world. And I love that. I love that about it, even though it is frustrating to me as a mother. So it is. All right. So talk to me then about the professional world. What was your career journey? What has it been like?
Oh, it's been one surprise after the next, for
Mm,
sure. You
okay.
know, I just feel like you just got to walk one step at a time,
Mhm.
and your teachers can lay out and say, because they can say, well, the next steps can be this, 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 and this.
Mhm.
And so I was always of the mind, still to this day,
Mhm.
I'm like, well, if these are the possible steps, then I'm going to do what I can to take these steps, to
Mhm.
be doing the right thing.
Mhm.
But then of course the universe steps in and says, well, we're going to take you on this. But
Right. Just kidding.
right? But the important thing is the curiosity, is to
Mm,
step one foot in front of the other. So after I did my graduate work at the Eastman School of Music, I had asked my teacher, I was like, so the next steps, and she's like, well, if you're going to continue in classical music, you're going to do a young artist program with an opera company, and that will be a further ground for you to, learn the craft of opera and go forward.
mhm.
But so I did that, and
Okay.
I applied. I did all the auditions, came to New York, and did everything. But then long story short, a magical thing happened called La Bohème on Broadway.
Mhm.
And it really was magic because they had auditions in New York, and it was like the longest audition process
Okay.
because they didn't know, it was something different. They were trying to do something different, and they weren't sure what they wanted. So people had 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 auditions.
13 auditions.
Yeah, which was grueling for the same part. It's just like, y'all still don't know.
Mm.
So I came in at the end, like they had closed the auditions and then they reopened them.
Okay.
And I took the chance and they said no calls. And my teacher was like, let's just call. And I said, okay. So we called, and we were like, I was like, I can be there tomorrow. I can perform for you. I don't have to do this video, because the video was some obtuse direction that no one could understand. I said, I can be there tomorrow. And the lady on the phone was like, okay.
I'll let you.
Yes. So I went to that audition, and everybody was just like, you, they've heard everybody. You're not going to, you can't possibly get it.
Mm,
I went down there and got that job,
that's
honey.
right, you did.
I went down there. I had 3 auditions, and next thing I knew, I was that summer after I graduated my graduate work. I went to a summer program in Italy, and
Mhm.
then directly after that, I came and I started on Broadway. And I was 23 years old, and I was like the youngest person in the cast.
My
And
God.
that's where I learned everything. Well, so much about the professional world. And it was, again, the power of community. I think that's my word for today. The
Mm-hmm.
power of community, the power of, the people that are around you.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me what to do. It was because of that engagement that I was then able to come and get Phantom later on down the line, because they were like, always audition for Phantom, always do it, because it's there, it's a staple, they
Mm-hmm.
always need people. So that was that. And so that story is just, one, it's just to show that the magic kept happening in my career. After that show finished, I wanted to do opera. I was clear that that's what I wanted to do. So I
Mm-hmm.
auditioned for that. I got the agent. I went and I did all the grueling auditions, and I did all the operas that I possibly could. I've sung at almost so many regional theaters
Mm-hmm.
across this country. I
Mm-hmm.
did things abroad. Yeah, so I did a lot. And then I got to the Met finally, which had, in classical music, is considered the pinnacle.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got there, I felt like, well, this is it, but it wasn't it, of course, because you're still alive and there's still things to do. And I realized, oh my God, this is not it. Survive, you know. And
Yeah.
so I just tried to find my way, and through that, in the doing what I was supposed to do-ness of life. But then, as I got older, there were things that I wanted to do that were outside of, singing opera.
Mm-hmm.
And that included, making this album, Love the Color of Your Butterfly, the music of my life and story.
Mm-hmm.
That included singing at churches, and that included, having social justice performances and works that, told the stories of my heart and lamented, the brutality that exists, in our country. So I had a very varied career, and the desires begin to rise as you walk forward, and you follow the path, and you just continue to walk. So it's a lot, but
I love it. And of course, I gotta go backwards. And probably every question I'm gonna ask you is unfair because I'm gonna be like, what was your favorite? But when you were talking about doing La Bohème and being 20 something years old and learning so much, I got like scared. I got like that must have been such an intimidating experience, but obviously also so enriching. Where did you pull from that to go through that? Like, how can you remember even the first time getting on stage in front of an audience?
Oh yeah, I definitely do. And I always was very secure in the fact that I knew I could sing. So I was like, and everybody else knew it too. And the other thing was, it wasn't, George Floyd's death opened up a door in our lifetime for a lot of African-American singers to walk through, or African-American people to now become a part of, to desegregate spaces.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we were in a little bit of a lull, right? So it was a big deal that I was a sister girl in that show on Broadway. That was not a Black show.
Right.
And everyone was just like, oh my God, they have a Black Mimi? Oh my, you know what I'm saying? It was something, but I was clear that I knew what my skills were. And I was just like, the way that y'all deal with it is on you. But I'm going to stand here and be fierce no matter what,
Oh, love it.
So I was very clear in that way. And I led with that. I couldn't help but lead with that because that's what God gave me and that's who I am.
Love that.
I do remember the first time I went on for Mimi and I was nervous and but I walked on through it. I just pumped my heart and did it. Because I just knew that that's where I belonged. So
I'm sitting here, I almost have chills because first of all, there's something magical about anybody who understands their magic and that they're actually going against everything when they don't tap into that magic, right? Like it is not easy, but it's so much easier to live in that authentic space of your skill, of your talent, and trying not to do it. I think is harder than doing it and having challenges. But as you were saying about, representation in music and in opera and in the theater, when I grew up, I was like, opera is for like white people who are rich. I don't, right? It didn't even, I saw my first opera in my 40s. So, and for all of you who are on, Sonia Soam, who was on my podcast last year, she's the person who first took me to the opera and I fell in love. We went to the Met and it's music that like vibrates through your whole entire body.
Yes, exactly.
And it doesn't matter the language. And in fact, there were times when I was looking at the thing, trying to read what they were saying. I was like, I'm distracted. I have to just look at what they're doing and listen to what the music is saying, even if I can't actually understand it.
And you understand something.
Yes, emotion. Right. Yes, it is powerful, powerful, powerful. So for those of you, if you have not been to the opera, I can listen, please. please go to just say you experienced it for at least one time. But I will tell you, if you were like me, I just became hooked. I was like, I gotta go do this again. And I like to be fancy. So there's that. So, so there's that. So I'm going to take a break and tell the folks how we met before we jump into more of the questions. So many of you know that I'm a bourbon lover and I love old fashions. And my favorite old fashioned in New York City is at Del Frisco's Steakhouse, which is in Midtown. And so I often will go there and just sit at the bar, particularly because I do a lot of work with my clients and with law firms in that area. And so one day I was like, oh, well, I'm here. Let me go and sit at the bar. And I usually grab a little bite to eat. And this is not a Del Frisco commercial, except that it actually is because I love them. So anyway, the bar downstairs, it's like a famous bar. It's a beautiful old wooden bar. It's a gorgeous space. It was filled with all of these accountants and finance and lawyers and all these people. And I was like frustrated because usually there's a seat for me. And the woman at the front was like, just go upstairs and see if there's anything. And I had forgotten there was a bar upstairs. I was like, upstairs for what? Like, you want me to go upstairs? And so I went upstairs and there was one seat available at the bar. And it was next to a Black lady. So I was like, oh, then it should be fine because I'm fine sitting next to Black people. It's fine. So I was saying to myself, Paula, you've got a lot of gala dresses to go into. Do not order this bacon. But I really, really love that bacon.
Bacon is good.
The bacon is so good. I got my old fashioned, I got bacon. And as I was getting it, I was sitting next to Janinah and she was like, I love the bacon. And I was like, girl, me too. Have some. And it was such a New York experience where there's such a rich opportunity in this city to meet and fall in love with people. And you have no idea what's going to happen that day. And we like clicked immediately. We started talking about singing and Spelman and opera and food and the South and the North and all this good stuff. And what I love was that was like a quintessential New York experience for me and was able to grab somebody fabulous out of it where we had so many things in common. And I said to her, I was like, you need to be on my podcast. Like I loved our conversation so much. And this is the result of that by chance, but I also believe nothing happens by chance moment that we met in at Del Frisco. So I'll be sending them this podcast and be like, look, we talked about
We're talking about you, Del Frisco's. We are actually doing a commercial for you.
Exactly. Here is you, the bacon, and the old fashioned are all of our favorites. So I'm so happy that we met that day. Let's jump back into what we're talking about. So tell me this. The first time you went to the Met, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous space. It's lit up and there's red seats and it's beautiful. But from the stage, I can't even imagine. Like I would just want to, I've been on the stage at Carnegie Hall. I actually have, but I cannot sing. And Lord, forgive me, I would be uncontrollable if I could sing, please. but I remember feeling overwhelmed just standing there because of the historicness of it. And you just said it's like it's considered the pinnacle. What was that like?
Yeah, it was a big deal. I think, and I remember I dressed all up because, at that, it was just, I like to think of the Met times and eras.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Coming out of the era with the old singers, I would see Renata Scotto walking through the hall, like she owned the place in her heels. And I mean, it was a place where you could just see, Susan Graham had asked, who's the dude from X-Men, Wolverine? Who played
Oh, yes. Gosh. Yes, him. We all know who we're talking about, him. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He had invited
Hugh Grant. No, not Hugh Grant. Hugh somebody. Anyway, we know who we're talking about.
He was there. I mean, just people Placido. I mean, it was just, it's a very weighted thing, but it is also a place of work. But yes, we really respected it for the lineage that it held and the experiences that I had. But yeah, so I dressed up and I made sure that every time I went there, it was a thing, Mm-hmm. So, and then again, like because of that, the time that I got there, it was a shift happening in management and stuff like that. So it was a little, people were feeling, a little different. You're feeling the transition.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like interesting. But then with each contract, each time that I was there, it became more and more of a family. But when people recognized that I was there for the first time, everyone was just like, "Welcome to the Met. Welcome to the Met." The stage manager, the main head guy, he told me, "Welcome to the Met." I'll just never forget that. It was really.
I love that. I love that. And I'm glad and love that you had an experience that was welcoming there for you too. So 2 questions. Number 1, do you actually speak Italian?
Yes. I went to study Italian in Italy for 2 years. I went, it was just for a month each time. Mm-hmm. It was an immersion we would take classes and we stayed in a town where nobody spoke English. So we had to learn it. And I loved it. I love Italian. I love languages. If I was not a singer, I would be an interpreter or a translator.
Oh, I love that.
I love it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, second thing, is there a song that you love from an opera that you love to sing more than others? I won't say the best, but more than others.
Well, there's certain ones that it's true. What is coming to mind that I really just loved? Well, I love E Lucevan le Stelle, which is what I put on my album, one of the songs. But the funny thing is that it's not a soprano aria, it's a tenor aria from Tosca. So that was another reason I just wanted to do it, and I wanted to arrange it so that I could sing it and just, stretch my imagination, since I wouldn't do it in the opera. But it's just the melody I love, and I love singing that.
I love that. Wait, Tosca, is that the one with the horse, the big horse?
No. Tosca is about the prima donna who is harassed by, this horrible man, but she's the man she's really in love with. He puts in jail. And
yes. I did see that one too. Yes, child. Yes.
Jumps off the thing.
Yes. Oh my God, the drama. That's what I love. It's the drama of it all. It's like, it is so dramatic. I feel like there's no love like the love you experience in an opera. Like that's some like deep love where I don't know what I'm going to do if that person is not in my life anymore. That kind of love.
And they're different kinds. They're different. Categories of opera. So what we're talking about is opera seria. So it's going to be dramatic and romantic era. But then there's opera buffa, which is hilarious, and there's nothing serious about it, and it's often making fun of people, which is kind of fun too. So
I need to see one of those because I think I've only seen the ones that was like.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I love them too. This is so awesome. Okay. I'm just so excited. Okay, so all right. So song that you like to sing, you told me that one. Is there a particular role when you think about the preparation that you did for that role that really connects to you and your person and how you kind of grew? Was there like a specific, whether Broadway or opera or any other role that you've done that was a specific, not necessarily challenge, but maybe helped to transform some of who you were because of that?
That's a good question. Because I always say that the characters, they choose me and then they have something to show me in life.
Oh.
But I will say that Carlotta in Phantom, man, she taught me a lot. And it really helped my development because she was quite powerful. And she had the audacity, she had the audacity to challenge the Phantom who was running around killing people.
Yes.
She had the audacity to be like, this is what I'm doing. This is who I am. And you can't make it happen. You can't change that,
yes. Yeah.
And she didn't get killed. She still lived, but someone who was so clear to stand in her power, and to play that night after night was just a good, she was excellent each time. And just, she was really big, a big, wonderful, confident character that really inspired me.
Well, I love that you chose that one because I was going to, my next one's going to be like, I actually saw you because I saw the last one. The only time I saw Phantom was the last one. And I was like, oh, she's Black.
That's it.
I was like, oh my God. And as it was what I asked for my birthday for my husband. We went to Del Frisco afterward. I mean, it was a beautiful night and I loved it. It was so great. And I was like, I have to see it before it leaves Broadway because, they made a big deal. Like it's gone. Like this is it. And I was like, but I have never seen it. I have to see it. And it was I didn't know anything about it except that he wore this mask. Like I knew the of it, but not the specifics of the story. So when the chandelier comes out, I was like I had no idea what was happening. And so I felt like a kid because I was experiencing something truly for the first time without having any background other than knowing this dude is in the mask and he's like, killing people. I didn't know all the specifics. It was fantastic. So
awesome. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Can we talk about collaborations? So you have intentionally, particularly, I mean, I really only knew your work from the beginning of this new work that you have. You have some strong collaborations that I feel like you did on purpose, and you're bringing out their talent and your talent. Talk about what magic went into bringing your new piece, your new work together.
Yeah. So I'll start with the I Too Sing America, Lament for the Fallen. That one came about because I noticed that when we worked, especially as Black people in these companies, there's a lot that we kind of just put to a lot of our artistry that we put to the side to kind of fit into someone else's view of what this show should be. And as you know, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be this character and everything. But I think that also limits us from sprawling out into our full artistry because we want to be hired again. We want them to choose. We want to keep working, all of these things. And a lot of times I feel like, especially for Black artists, that squelches us. So I wanted to do a recital that in which my colleagues and I could fully spread out into our artistry, really care about the repertoire, really feel a strong connection to the repertoire, and really have a message that kind of speaks to the community. So I collaborated with some of my dearest friends and some of people who I know can interpret music in a way and text in a way that really is inspirational. And they were, my colleague, Kenny Overton, he was in Bohème on Broadway with me. And he'd always been a good friend and colleague. And then James Davis Jr., who is now conducting, I believe, on the road in Hamilton. And I've known him since days at Spelman. He went to Morehouse. And then Dr. Rashad Raymond Moore, he was an associate pastor at the Abyssinian Baptist Church, also went to Morehouse, and now he's over his own church. And I just was like, let's make this work and let's, make some magic. So that came together and it really did. And then the next project, I Love the Color of Your Butterfly. My dear friend who I met while I was at Spelman, he was the guest drummer in the jazz ensemble, Terry On Gully. We've known each other since then. And I told him, I said, well, first off, I got one of his students to play. I told him I was, delving into making these arrangements and trying to fuse this classical together with the jazz. And it's something that I always wanted to do. And so I got one of his students to play a gig with me in a presentation featuring my own arrangements. And then even though my friend was my friend, I guess he needed someone to kind of co-sign that what I was doing was okay. So his student was like, it's really good. It's really good. So then after that, it seemed like he was more inclined to be like, okay, well. And so I told him I wanted to make this album and I wanted to do it in a certain way. And I had the repertoire. And he said, okay, let's do it. And so we talked about the instrumentalists that would participate. And he had a lot. And it was interesting. We had to have conversation about it because it's a new thing. And we didn't want it to we wanted to be true to all of the genres.
Right.
And so the communication around that had to be alive, and we had to find instrumentalists who were able to make music no matter what. And that was the biggest lesson that we learned, that the language of music, as long as that is there, as long as that we are true to being good musicians and doing what it says in the music, listening to one another, interpreting with our hearts and souls and minds, then we can, that's how we make things really magic happen. So it was just like, it just came together, and I'm thankful for my friends who were willing to work with me,
I mean, again, not a musician. I do love music though, but what I love is innovation. Yes. And when I think about gosh, I'm such a knucklehead. The song I put on our playlist.
Yes. What is this thing? Yeah.
Tell me what the song is.
What is this thing called? Love.
Yes. Yes. So that song, I'm like, la, 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 let me just listen to this, minding my business. And I was like, oh my God, like it's like taking me in all these different places, and it slows down and it speeds up and it goes high and it goes low. And it is not safe, but it's safe. Like, it's like, it feels like a risky thing, but it's not. And it feels comfortable, but uncomfortable. And it's hard to explain. But I remember I texted the Spotify link to like 10 people. I was like, you've got to listen to this. And I rarely do that unless it's a Beyonce track. So the experience of someone who is clearly not phoning it in, right? That you actually own the experience of curating the music, right? It's so powerful. It brings me joy because it's like, wow, anybody can sing a song. And I don't mean well, I just mean sing a song. But to sing a song and you can feel the emotion and the shift and what you're doing, it feels like art, which is what it is. I don't know how to say it. I'm not being good in saying how I'm saying about it, but you all can tell because I'm really speechless. It changed how I thought about music,
Yeah.
which is really hard to do because I'm like, I'm either 90s hip hop, 90s R&B, or, or or not. So then, or Beyonce, and then that's it. So I appreciated that it opened me up. And then I, in turn, because I think you should be a catalyst for things where you learn something new, shared it with other people. And so many people have clicked on that link for that. I mean, it's, again, I'm like, I'm not trying to say I'm an influencer, but I'm an influencer. So I'm like, y'all have got to listen to it. Just listening to how I'm speaking about it, I invite you to listen. And I want you all to send me an email when you heard it, because it's hard to explain, except that it's fantastic. That's all.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And that's a big part of my artistry. I want to push limits and push
Yeah.
boundaries. And our ancestors and the people who've come before us have left us this lineage of wonderful things. And a lot of what they did was, risk taking, that people didn't like. And they were like, oh my gosh, this isn't, some people didn't live to see the success of their stuff.
Mhm.
So it meant a lot to me to just, especially because people were like, no, you can't do that. You shouldn't do. I was like, no, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure out how to do it, and we're going to make it happen. So,
Well, I mean, you did, and clearly the impact, small and big, is huge, because I think anytime you see somebody, again, living in their magic and then taking those risks and it showing up, it gives us all the confidence to be able to live in our magic and take some risk and then show up. And that's how new stuff happens. That's how we don't stay in the same old, same old. So
yes.
yeah.
Time it is. I saw in the middle of my career that was happening, and I saw the old guard passing and them being like, no, you can't possibly do that. But then the people coming in were just like, we have to do something to change it, because this way is not working. And it just is what happens over time, Well, and I'm like, well, I'm gladly a part of this change.
I, I love that. And it makes me think about your brand as a musician, right? As a singer. What do you think? This is not you, just you, the words that you chose before. As a singer, how would you describe yourself?
Oh, I would say definitely versatile, because I
Mhm.
can sing in a lot of different ways.
Mhm.
I would say colorful.
Oh.
That's why I love the color of your butterfly. I would say colorful, because I can create a lot of different colors, which then respond to emotion. So I would say that I am an emotional singer.
Yeah.
I would say I'm a dramatic and passionate singer. I
Mhm.
would say that I would say that that I'm holding this torch for, good singing, and, healthful singing,
Mhm.
and trailblazing singing, and holding it for and shining the light, so that anybody that wants to come after me and do this, or
Mhm.
with me, whatever,
Yeah.
can be like, oh yes, okay, cool. This is what we're going to do. We about to sing.
I love
It's
it.
not inspirational.
Well, that's a perfect segue to what I wanted to ask you about next, because you are doing that because you teach.
Yes.
Talk to me about how you support new musicians who are coming up and learning. How do you support folks who want to do this? You were able, you got taught to just continue to do it, right? Just do it. What do you teach them?
Oh goodness. I think I start with doing it healthfully, like
Mhm.
really trying to find a way to allow the sound that we make to come from a place that is uninhibited by muscles or
Mhm.
force or contortion or lack of breath.
Mhm.
I'd say that's where I start, because it is, singing is coming out of our bodies.
Mhm.
The sound, it's the sound that we make with our bodies, and it's a very natural thing. We make sound all the time.
Mhm.
And so it's basically teaching them how to release and and allow. you know, and how that then becomes a metaphor for a lot of other things. So we start there, you know, that's where I feel like we start. And then we get into but there's still, at this stage in college, it's still, you know, relatively in a new space. So the healthful element is like a really great place to begin, a great foundation to build, you know.
I mean, foundations are so important. And throughout this conversation, you've talked about sort of like the leaning back and looking back at the folks who did things before and paying homage to what's come before you. And I think about that foundational piece in addition to that the body itself is an instrument, right? Yeah. And I remember when all of you know just how healthy I am. Anyway, but my trainer, I was trying to do like push-ups and not push-ups, but sit-ups, and I couldn't do the sit-ups. I was like, had to put my feet underneath something, what have you. And he was like, you're not breathing. And when he taught me how to breathe properly, the power of actual breath work is wild. And so I speak for a living, understanding how to take a breath, how to have it fill your whole diaphragm, and then how to release that, it changes so much about how your body as an instrument shows up and the noise that you make. But I had no idea. I just was like, I just trying to work. I just want to be skinny. I don't care about all the things.
No, you don't think about that. You know, you don't think about these little things. And plus breathing is something that, again, we take almost for granted because we do it all the time.
Yes.
And we're never necessarily deliberate about it. So when you have to be deliberate about it and think about it and figure out how to just do it without tensing or putting it on and, you know, just trying to figure out how to allow for it. It's an interesting thing.
It sure is, because when I go to karaoke, I'm always out of breath. I'm always like, how do they dance and sing at the same time? I don't understand. My karaoke song is "Push It" by Salt-N-Pepa. I'm like, I can't. This is too much. I'm either going to push it or sing "Push It." Which one is it going to be? It can't be both.
I know. It's tricky.
So there is that. Before I ask you my two questions that I ask everybody as we close, I want to ask a favor.
Yes.
Will you sing something for me?
Yeah, what you want me to sing?
Whatever the spirit brings to you right now, I will take it. Understanding this is not a studio, this is a podcast. I will take whatever is coming to mind that your spirit is moving you now, and it doesn't have to be long. I just want you to sing something, please.
Okay, let's see. Okay, this is a good one to help us all. I think this is something that is just helpful, and I won't sing it in the key that I sing it in on the album, but I'm going to sing it just in a comfortable place.
Okay.
Hang on to the world as it spins around. Just don't let the spin get you down. Things are moving fast. Hold on tight and you will last. So that's just it.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I so appreciate that. And I also appreciate the words that you I'm inspired, and I'm also very grateful. So I thank you for that. And indulging me in wanting you to sing to me.
Yes, of course.
Okay. So I have 3 questions I need to ask you still. But before I do that, I have to tell you something. I forgot about this. So we know somebody in common.
You.
Malcolm Merriweather.
I love Malcolm. So he's my favorite people, literally. I just love him.
I met him through one of my favorite people, and he sang "Happy Birthday" there were a whole bunch of other opera singers there singing "Happy Birthday," and it was one of the most sensational experiences I was like, are they singing? What is happening right now? And so when I saw your bio, I was like, oh my God, I was like, I have to make sure. So I can send him this little shout out. I love, he's every single time that I have met him and connected with him, he's just a wonderful, wonderful person. And so Yes. So I will link to his stuff too, because we can, and it's mine. But shout out to Brooklyn College, and shout out to all the musicians and people who I know who are making the world better by music being in it, whether it's conducting, singing, or playing an instrument. I appreciate all of you for making the world sound better. So now, what do you do for fun? And don't tell me sing.
No, it's so funny you should ask. I was thinking about that today. I was just like, man, now because, now that I'm, in a different place and I'm, in a different space, thinking about what I do for fun. And I was thinking, Maxwell's coming to town, so I'm going to go see Maxwell. But I was also thinking about like travel, going to the beach. I love wine tasting.
Yes.
I was thinking about that. Like I was like, that's my jam.
I love that. And also shout out to Maxwell, because thank you, Maxwell College, Urban Hang Suite. Okay, anyway, yes.
Yes, thank you. Second College, yes, thank you, Urban Hang Suite.
Yes,
we love you.
That brought me through. That brought me through. Somebody send this to him when you hear it, because love you so much. Anyway, had a moment. Yeah, he's fantastic. Yeah. Yes, he is all that to me. Okay. So 2 questions I ask everybody. One is this: what is the stand by your brand moment? What is an aspect of your personal brand that you will never compromise on?
I have to say, I'm always going to be meticulous about the way that I do what I do. Mm-hmm. Other people can be sloppy with their music making and do it kind of slovenly and whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do that. If I'm going to be on stage, it will be the best. I will not compromise on doing my best when I'm doing my work.
I love that. I love that. That standard. I mean, it's a part of your brand, right? That excellence and how you show up to the work that you do. I love that. So the next question is probably not at all fair, because you do this all the time, but I'm going to ask you anyway. So branding room only is a play on the term standing room only. And so the question I ask everyone is, what skill do you have, or what experience would they have that would be a room full of people who are standing room only to see your experience? But for you, you've had
yeah.
You're like, what I do, that's what but I ask it anyway, because what if there was something else that you could have another skill that I don't know about that you might want to say. So I will leave it open to you. Is it a specific kind of music that you think? Is it, I don't know, whatever you want to answer this question with. What is your standing room only, branding room only moment?
I'd say it would be a concert, in varying styles, collaborating with musicians that I revere and that I respect. That would be ideal.
That is a perfect answer. And if you need a backup dancer, I got you.
Okay.
I cannot sing, but I can run in man off that stage. Janinah, this has been a fantastic conversation. I knew that I was going to enjoy it. Can you tell the folks how they can find out more about you? We're obviously going to put everything in the show notes, but tell them so that if they're listening, they can go run and find you now.
Oh, yes. Well, you can definitely find most of the information about me on my website, www.janinahburnett.com. And I update my calendar there, and I have my CDs there, and I have my information about who I am and what I do and where I'm going to be there. So
fantastic. Absolutely. And we're also going to, again, drop the link for the playlist again. And so go do all the streams on Spotify or wherever you listen to music to make sure that the musicians get the acknowledgement and the listens that they need. I appreciate you being on the podcast with me today. Everybody, go and tell a friend. This is going to drop during Black Music Month in June. And so tell a friend, play it for a friend, download, like, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you all. See you next time in the branding room.
Bye.